Okay, I'm going to talk about Alex Jones here in a minute. But before I do that, I want to talk about research in general and falling down the rabbit hole. The core of my research revolves around the cronids that I have been talking about and discovered much of their story through the Loeb Library and the British Library and other esoteric books, as well as comparative mythology and comparative art and other sources. And I also have been looking into Lovelock Cave. But once you start to go down this path, you find a lot of other things that aren't correct. And I've spent some time looking at the Irish slaves, the Arab slave trade, what really went on during World War II, why we don't have hemp cars. I've looked at 9/11, vaccine damage, immigration issues, the Inquisition, history in general, who owns the businesses, what all the religions are about. I've looked into the occult and the supernatural. And I've been looking into think tanks and tricksters. Tricksters. And we have tricksters running all over the place. And in my opinion, one of them is this Alex Jones character. And I don't want to spend a lot of time on him because the core of my work is going to focus on these cronids and the Lovelock Cave situation. And if I have time down the road, I'd like to put a little time into the Irish slaves and what really happened during World War II. But outside of that, I would also like to see something change. And you can research and research and research till you're dead. But what good is that? I've written, books, which is good. It helps you to open up your mind and not be taken in as a sucker. But how has change been made through all of this research? And that's probably going to be the focus of the next 10 years of my life or more, is trying to take some of this research that I've done and make change for the better happen. But before I get into any of that, I want to say, as fellow researchers out there looking at my stuff, or you happen to stumble upon my videos or other people's videos, at this point, you should be realizing that you're in a system that they've created that revolves around these cronids, keeping history hidden, archetypes, and just complete manipulation of history and your governments, etc. And obviously some diabolical schemes such as these vaccines that they might have some cancer viruses in, these strange deaths and murders, or suicides as they call them, or disappearances, and on and on and on. All of this connects. And you could keep going down this rabbit hole, or you can try and take what you're learning and pick one area and try and make a change. But I've been watching this for quite a while, and I would say since 9/11, it would be the main thing that woke a lot of people up. Before that, I think most people were asleep. They were in a slumber. They didn't really care about things, and they just cared about going to their job, going to whatever sporting music or to a bar or whatever, and living their life. But 9/11 was a critical point, not just in America, but around the world, to wake up the majority of people, because there are a lot of people that are questioning things, millions of them. There's still a lot of people that are asleep or just don't care and figure somebody else could go do it. But the point is that by now, if you've been doing this research, you should know that they've had a lot of things planned out, that they have a certain tactic that they use over and over, and that they put these tricksters out there. And the trickster is a clown, and the trickster goes back to these crownides. Dionysus would be considered a trickster. And I've talked about that in the past, some of the things he did to get women drunk and kind of take advantage of them, or using his alcohol to get the Indians drunk during the wars that they had so he could beat them quite easily with his army. But the big trickster would be Prometheus, and that is your Satan, your Loki, your Set. He's the same person. And he has a cult. And that it comes in many different forms. And he is in all different mythologies, just as Zeus is. And he has symbols, and it really hasn't changed. One of the main symbols is this black and white stripe combination for duality. The trickster appears to be good and friendly, but he's really not. And in our society, they still use these archetypes and symbols, like Jack in the Box is a demon in the box. That would be your Prometheus, Satan in a box, or Set, Loki. Criminals were originally forced to wear black and white stripes. Now they wear orange, the color, one of the colors of fire. The fox has also been represented as a trickster. That was one of his sacred animals. The clown, clowning around, always making it like a joke, but it isn't. It's devious. So what caught my eye, other than the nonsense that spews forth from Alex Jones, which went on before Bill Cooper was murdered. And I recall Alex Jones in the 1990s trying to tell people Russia was attacking America on Y2K. And at that point, people should have bounced him. But he's set up to be the trickster, to trick you. And he dressed up as a clown not once, but twice. So that should tell you right off the bat what that's about. Now, at one point, I was seriously considering that he was Bill Hicks. There was a lot of information out on the internet showing teeth that matched, the height that matched, the friends were the same as Bill Hicks, and he may still be Bill Hicks, but I sidetracked and I did some research on him. So I sidetracked from my research and I did some research on him because he is a trickster and he's put out there to distract and cause problems and do destruction to people that are honestly doing some research and trying to make change. And as I said, I thought at one point he may really be Bill Hicks. And so I tried to research his history. And according to Wikipedia and some of the things he said, apparently Jones was born in 1974 in Dallas, Texas, and he grew up in Rockwall, near the city of Austin, Texas. And his father, David Jones, was a dentist and his mother a homemaker. Apparently he's Irish, German, Welsh, and partly Native American. He was a lineman on his high school's football team and graduated from Anderson High School in Austin in 1993. As a teenager, he read Gary Allen's None Dare Call It Conspiracy, which had a profound influence on him. And then it says, after high school, he went to Austin Community College. Well, Alex Jones came on the scene after Bill Hicks died, and he associated with the same people that Bill Hicks was associated with, and I believe that was Sacred Cow. They have a production company. It's the same group. But I started to look into this guy, and I said, okay, if this is who you are, there should be some records for you. And so I wrote to the Austin Public Library and tried to get his high school yearbooks. And I did get some pictures, and I got a letter, and this is what it said. Thank you for submitting your research request to the Austin History Center. Please find enclosed the only reference I was able to locate of Alexander Emmerich Jones in the 1993 Anderson High School yearbook. His picture was not in the senior class section for that year, and there was no mention of him in the 1990 or 1991 yearbooks. Unfortunately, we do not have a copy of the 1992 yearbook. Okay, so first off, they don't have a 1992 yearbook, so it's possible that he's in that. They don't have anything from 1990 to 1991 about him. And he wasn't in the senior pictures. Now, it says that he graduated in 1993, so that matches up. And that was the Anderson High School. And I did get one picture of him in the yearbook, but that was it. So where was this guy? And I do, during the year, his freshman and sophomore year, and possibly his junior year. And I do recall him in his shows that I once in a while would listen to, saying he was in Juvie Hall. And perhaps that was the case. I don't know, but I find that strange. I also find it strange that they don't have any pictures of him as a football player. So, who is this guy? I don't know. It does appear there's a yearbook with him, at least one picture, but how far does that rabbit hole go down? And the bottom line, whether he is this person he says he is or not, he put out the trickster archetype or persona, and that should be enough to tell you what and who he is. And that's as far as I'm going to go down that rabbit hole, because I have way too many other things to do. And I could go on and on about all of the think tanks that I've researched and how that's the same people over and over, and they're in multiple think tanks. They're all connected, and that there's the people that he brings on his show are in these think tanks, and they're all connected, and they're connected to the people over in a certain country in the Middle East that he never wants to talk about. And it's just global. It's not just one area, they're everywhere. But that would take my research into a different direction that I'm not willing to go into right now. Time is precious, and there's just only so much I can do. And I really want to focus and make a difference on these cronides and Lovelock Cave issues, as well as possibly something with the Irish slaves and the Arab slave trade and the hemp car down the road. If I'm lucky to even have extra time after that, there's so many other subjects that I could get into to try and make a difference on. Vaccines could be one of the big ones. But just biting off this is enough, and perhaps somebody else can not only research it, but take it to a certain point. I just can't. But the point is that the research can go on and on and on. The rabbit hole can take you down and down and down and in all kind of directions. And you only have so much time and so many resources. So you have to pick and choose wisely, because you have to live your life as well. And perhaps if I take this one area with my Cronide and Lovelock Cave research, somebody else can pick a different area and just focus on that and get something done. And all of us connect in a certain way. But I just wanted to point this out, that with my research, at this point, if you're following it enough, if you understand the stories of these people and their cults and their symbols, you should be able to pick out in the news or with these people like Alex Jones as to who and what they are when they present the symbolism or the 666 symbol or the clown makeup or a black and white stripe combo. It should be obvious what they're trying to say they are and how they are controlling us by controlling both sides and forcing you to be in this bizarre system that they feel works for them, that Hegelian system. And the way out is through knowledge, is to smash it down and to say, this comes from this and it has no effect on me. So let's get to what the core of is that is important. Like, I want to have the truth. I want a future for my children. I'm tired of giving money to people who don't live in this country when we have people starving and homeless. And I don't want to fund an apartheid state with nuclear bombs or whatever it is your issue is. Or I don't want to have oil-based cars. And I want people brought to justice for these crimes that they've done. And I don't want your religion, which is a lie and it's full of violence. It's just a manual for rape and murder, to have any kind of say in my society, because I know what it is. Or to look into these bizarre deaths and disappearances and go at the people who are doing it and make it stop. So if you could use what I'm telling you about these cronides and how they, in the Lovelock Cave, how they destroy evidence, you should be able to pick out everything else and how it's a charade, and the archetype that they're using and how they keep you in this Hegelian good bad system when really it's not good or bad, it's just a controlled system, and they decide what's good or bad, because one day something that's bad will be good and the next what was good will be bad. And isn't that what's happening today? They control it. They don't allow you to have control, and we've got to have the control. We've got to take it away from them. So I just wanted to show, that I do a lot of research. It's not just these cronides and Lovelock Cave, but I've been looking at the bigger picture of everything for quite a while. I just can't focus on everything. It's just me. I'm one person. But collectively, we can do it. And for me, I want to put all of this together of my research and see if I can affect a change for the better within the next 10 years, whatever that's going to be. So power through knowledge, then you must take action and affect change. So thank you. Just something for you to think about, and how easy it is to look at this stuff and see how far the rabbit hole goes, and there's so many unanswered questions, and who is in charge, who's pulling the strings behind this. And you can do that research too. Thank you.